There is no delete button. Once project data, drawings, or specifications get typed into public AI tool, or really just any data gets typed into public AI, it's out there, and you don't get a do-over. All right, I appreciate all y'all taking the time today to join our webinar. And I'm going to hit you with this simple idea throughout the webinar, and that is there's no delete button. This is the reason, and the whole reason that we're here is AI adoption and making sure that you are secure when you go to talk with AI and do projects or work in AI. The thing is, your team is already typing sensitive company and production data into public AI tools. It's not theory, it's happening, and it's happening today. And here's what most people don't realize, or they don't want to believe. Your team, yes, your team is using AI. They're already pasting it. They're not trying to do this malicious. They're not trying to put your data on the internet for everyone to see. They're just trying to keep up with their daily workload. And they're using tools that are freely available for them. These tools weren't meant for production, enterprise, or business. They were built to scrape the internet and train on every piece of data they get. They definitely aren't built for project risk, obligations, and liability. So today, it's not about if AI is coming. That ship is already sailed. Today is all about control. How do you let your team move faster without putting your projects, your firm, or your reputation at risk? And that's what we're fixing to walk through together. So here's three things that we're going to cover today. They're clear, it's simple. First, why public AI is a real risk right now. Not a year from now, not when regulations or industry standards catch up. Right now, inside businesses just like yours. Second, we want to give your team a better option. We don't want to shut down AI because that's not going to work. They're going to find a way to use it because it makes their life easier. You need something for your team that they'll use and they'll like, something that won't put your projects, your data, your deadlines, your clients, and your commitments at risk. And third, we're going to show it to you live. No slides, no theory. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to show you how I use AI every day and what this looks like in the real world. And that's what I'm excited to do. That's what I love. That's what I like sharing every single day. And hopefully by the end of this webinar, you're going to know two things. That's my goal. You're going to know two things. One, where your risk actually is today, not just spouting it off and trying to get you to trying to sell you something. I want to tell you what those risks are in reality. And I'm going to show you what a controlled, managed AI version of this looks like for your projects. That's the goal that I'm going for. So let's get into it. Let's ride. I've mentioned this a couple of times already that your team is already typing sensitive company information into public AI. It's happening every time we do a risk assessment and they don't have policies in place or an AI tool that everybody can use. We see that people are using AI. Whether the company's like, no, they're not using it, I guarantee somebody on your team is using it. And here's the problem that a lot of people don't think about or they don't talk about. That ChatGPT and Claude aren't secure. If you ask them, which is a good thing to do, hey, ChatGPT, are you secure? It's going to tell you yes all day long. You can ask it twice. It's going to say, yeah, I'm secure. You can ask it 5 times. It's going to tell you you're secure. But real security isn't what the chatbot claims. Instead, ask it, do you have AAA security? And it's going to tell you no. So what does that mean? That's AAA is authentication, authorization, and auditing. That's the only way that you're truly secure. So what does that mean? It means who has access, what are they allowed to see, and what actually happened. That last one, Auditing, that is where these LLMs, it's large language models, you'll hear me use that term all the time, the ChatGPTs, Claudes, that is where all of these fall apart. If you can't produce a report, if you can't show exactly what data went in, who sent it, and what came back, you're not secure. It's not secure. It doesn't matter what the marketing says. It doesn't matter what AI says. The tools your team is using right now, if they're ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, they can't give you reporting. They're not going to give you that. They're not built for it. And this happens all the time. It happens more than you think. An example is Samsung learned this the hard way. There was 3 engineers. They pasted some proprietary information of some semiconductor code into ChatGPT. They did this 3 times, multiple times a day for 20 days, trying to debug this code. Well, guess what happened to that code? That code was sent straight to OpenAI servers, straight into their training data. And the only reason that Samsung found out is because they started using in other ways and auditing ChatGPT, and they found all this code. And it's just out there. And here's the kicker: 65% of their own people in leadership had flagged ChatGPT and these AI LLMs as security concerns, but nobody followed through. They could stop it going forward, but you can't delete what's already there. It's already out there. That code will be out there forever. Maybe it's in some model's weights. Maybe it's going back to a competitor. You don't know what that people can do in that code. You can look it up and see. It will tell you. So this is the gap, and this is a security concern when it comes to AI. And this gap turns into data exposure. It turns into breakdowns. It turns into liability when something happens, and you have no control over it. And this is what is keeping most businesses from adopting AI. And honestly, it should. Because without control, you're just hoping it's secure. And, guess what? Hope's not a strategy. What you need when it comes to AI is actual ownership. You need control. You need to know where AI runs, how your data is handled, and how it's tracked. That's where managed AI happens. That's where it, as AI says, changes the game. It's a game changer. Because now you don't have to wonder what's happening. You can ask your IT for reporting and you can prove what's happening. You will know how people are using AI and what they're doing. So let's take this for a second. I've got a compliance checklist here, and I want you to look at this list and I want you to be honest with yourself. Some of you have compliance, some of you don't. Everybody's a little bit different. Businesses are different on what they have to do, whether it's HIPAA or there's some financial stuff, and then there's some manufacturing if you have government contracts. There's also cybersecurity insurance, a lot of compliance checks depending on, what you're doing and what your business does. So what I want you to do is when you're taking a look at this list, can you answer yes to every one of these? Not I think so, not the vendor told me so or Donald told me so. What I mean is, can you prove it? Can you prove your AI keeps project data inside your security boundary? I keep saying project data, but your data. Can you, whether it's financial data, patient data, whatever that is, can you prove that it's inside your security boundary? Can you prove you got audit logs ready if somebody asks them for you? No, because that's what matters. It's not what the tool says. It's not what the marketing says. It's what you can show. This right here, this checklist is the standard that you are being held to, whether you realize it or not. And that's the gap that this solves. We ain't guessing. We're not hoping. We're building something that you can actually defend and you can do it easily. So at that previous slide, and the compliance is the standard. This is how you actually meet it. This is why I love managed AI when people ask me about security. And I'm going to break down this slide. The first is zero data retention. Your data is not being fed back to some external model. Your client information, financial records, designs, plans, none of it trains on anything. It doesn't leave your environment and it stays yours, period. And this is guaranteed by the vendor. Second is down data boundary. Your data stays inside your environment. It doesn't leak out. It's encrypted. That's the big thing. You can prove that it's encrypted. It's segmented. It's controlled the same way the rest of your systems, like your servers on site and your documentation and all of that should be. And third, and it's the biggest one, is that's audit logs. No marketing language, not, hey, we take security seriously, actual logs that you can request. That's the difference between saying you're secure and proving it. No education is required, no explaining what this tool is or how it works to auditors. They're going to see, yeah, this is SOC 2, I'm good. It fits that framework, that gold standard of security already. And finally, there's managed rollout because, here's the truth. Most people who are failing at AI adoption isn't because the AI doesn't work. They fail because nobody owns the result and the outcome. There's no training, there's no structure, there's no adoption plan. That's where we come in. We configure it, we deploy it, we support it, we help you along that way. We have user groups so that you can ask real questions in real time. And you're not just left trying to figure out something in the middle of your work. You're not saying, oh, I got to learn how to do this and drop everything else I'm doing. We can help you with that. You're not just given a tool and saying, go to YouTube and figure it out. You can ask us questions. So you go from guessing to actual control. You go from hoping to proving. And that's why I love this Manage AI tool. So let's get actual tactical with AI. Yes, AI is great for some things, but there's some things you need to make sure that you are controlling. I like to say human in the loop. You hear me say, if you talk with AI with me a lot, you will hear me say that term a lot. So I want you to make sure that there are some things that stay human owned. Any final advice and judgment, client conversations and issue resolutions, project decisions and sign-offs, anything where trust, context, or real-world impact matters, AI can't do that. That's your job. Anything that has your name on it, you need to verify that what AI is telling you is true. Now, here are some things that you can hand off to AI. Summarizing notes and meetings, drafting emails and client updates, comparing documents, specs, and revisions. Does a fantastic job of that. Building checklists and process documentation. Pulling key facts from approved sources. I don't just mean from the internet in whole. It can do that, but you can say, no, I've got a file here and I want you to prove it using this. Creating first drafts is great. It helps get those ideas that are in your mind and it helps you, come up with something you might not have thought of. And it just like ideas just click for you. It happens to me all the time. But you're reviewing those drafts, not just sending them out. So here's what happens when you hand off the wrong thing. And this happens all the time. There's an example I read recently where a financial advisor asked AI to draft a client memo, updating the IRS guidelines. And AI came back confident. Formatting was perfect. The citations, had numbers and regulatory references. But the problem is that guidance didn't actually exist. AI just hallucinated it. The client acted on it. They filed improperly. And guess what? That person had liability. And there was a fight over who was responsible for it. AI sounded right. It was wrong. But sometimes, if you don't think of that, you're already in trouble. There was also a manufacturing manager who asked AI to optimize, material specs. And, they read it. It looked perfect. You know what? It was completely non-functional. So there's a big thing in human in the loop that comes into that. It's where judgment and context and understanding actually happens. This is where your subject matter experts become even better because they can look at AI and what it's coming and saying, that's wrong, that's right. People who have really experience in their jobs are using AI to amazing levels because they know what's wrong and what's right and they're able to push back. Because I want you to know that AI is incredibly powerful, but it's not replacing you. It's supporting you. It's an assistant you have that will not get annoyed if you asked it a million questions. And this is where people are winning with AI. They're not using it everywhere. They're using it in strategic and the correct places. And I want to take just a minute and kind of go back to something I mentioned. AI sounds confident. And I was recently doing some training on AI because I'm constantly trying to stay ahead, which is impossible. But one of the things they're finding is, people are believing AI because we're actually socially wired to trust and respect confidence. And AI was built to be confident, even if it's hallucinating. And as people, we want to follow leadership and we want to follow confidence. So we're just saying, yeah, that sounds right. That sounds confident. They're not, AI doesn't question itself like we question ourselves. So just know that anything with your name and your judgment attached to it, you need to make sure you're reviewing it. Remember, human in the loop is how AI wins. So so far, we've talked about risk, control, and where AI fits. So we're going to shift gears because AI costs money, and I understand that. But sometimes it's not the obvious cost. It's not just the subscription cost. There's hidden ones. The stuff that doesn't show up on a pricing sheet. Now, here's what I see all the time. There are people and firms and businesses that are experimenting with AI when I talk to them. There's a tool here, a tool there. A lot of times I was on a web demo the other day and I had 5 people in the demo and they had 3 different AI tools and the manager had no idea. And to put it up, they were like, "Hey, this is a conversation for offline." They're like, "No, Donald needs to hear this," and I'm glad I heard it because he didn't know that 3 members of his staff had different AI tools that they were just putting in company data into. That's a big deal. And it actually proves this slide. So let's go over some of these. I talked about subscription bleed. There's ChatGPT over here, Claude over there, Gemini, Perplexity. There's a million AI tools and there's more coming every day. And people think, well, it's a little charge, so they buy it. Well, those little charges add up, 20 here, 25 there. It doesn't feel like much, but all of a sudden, you know, there's hundreds or thousands of dollars in AI tools across your organization. And the problem with them is they're siloed. So if somebody has ChatGPT and somebody has Claude over here, they don't work together. Managed AI changes that because it's one platform, it's one policy, it's one bill. So instead of one person using ChatGPT or Claude, your entire team on this platform gets access to 72 different large language models. It has Claude, it has ChatGPT, it has Gemini, it has a whole bunch of other ones all in one place. And because it's shared, people are able to share workflows, agents, apps. They're able to share prompts and how they work through the whole team. And departments can collaborate. Use cases now spread and knowledge compounds because everybody's working with everybody else. You're not paying for 5 separate subscriptions that nobody shared. You're paying now for one platform that everybody uses. And here's the time tax that nobody plans for. Every new tool needs onboarding, this one including. Somebody's got to figure it out. Someone's got to teach it. And that time doesn't show up in the ROI spreadsheet, but it's real. So what happens if you don't have an overall platform? Somebody learns ChatGPT, somebody learns Claude. No, nobody can help each other. I mentioned that it's earlier. They're just repeating the same learning curve over and over. Now with managed AI, there's one tool that somebody learns, and if your staff is using it, they can help each other. You're also able to call in and get help instead of just beating your head against a desk. It's one platform, it's one rollout, and your entire team knows how to use it. And there's a lot of people who AI adoption is failing. And this is what that looks like. When there's too many tools and there's scattered access and you don't have a process or a system, and I'm a systems guy, I build processes. If there's nothing clear, people don't know what they're supposed to use. So they default back to what they know. And guess what that is? That's the old way. That's spreadsheet, that's email chains. You're not getting rid of time because they don't want to use it. shadow AI happens. People find and are they are going to find their own solution. And that's going to sometimes include personal accounts to Claude or ChatGPT. And you have no visibility on how with the others, you don't have visibility on are people using, what tools are they using. With the managed AI adoption, you can actually see what people are using, who's using what. It's really, really cool. And I want to make sure that I show you that screen today as well. So we have data risk, which I've talked about a lot, right? When you have no written rules on which staff can use what data, you have no policy, what's okay to paste into ChatGPT. There's no guidance on customer info or production schedules. It's just people are, again, they're hoping that they're secure, and hope's not a strategy. Our managed AI is going to fix that because we're going to include AI usage policies either separately or in an acceptable use plan. So they're written out, they're aligned with your company's data handling. Your team signs it, and you want to make sure that everybody signs it, no exceptions. It's going to be audit ready, logged, and traceable because I guarantee on every cybersecurity insurance policy coming up, they're going to ask you if you have an AI usage policy. I've started to see it, whether it's either going to be this year or next year, but every single one of them is going to have it. Now you have a policy and it's audit ready, it's logged. You have clear rules, real accountability, and you're not guessing. Do I have a policy? You're going to have one if you sign with us. And now here's a trap that I see fairly often, especially in my feeds. A lot of people pick one LLM. So again, large language model, whether that's ChatGPT or Claude, they build everything around that model. They train their team, and 2 months later, Claude gets a new one, and people want to switch to that. They're like, "No, I want to use that one. It's much better." Well, with this managed AI platform, you can switch between those models because they're built in. You don't have to just say, "Oh, I got to leave Claude to ChatGPT." You just change the model, and I'm going to show you in the platform how that's done. You can, and within this managed platform, you can switch to a lower cost model so that tokens aren't so expensive. You can fix the things that just fit what you're trying to do to make those tokens stretch further, or you can use the newest models and really be dynamic on what you're building. But with this, you're moving with AI, not behind it. All of a sudden, you're riding the AI wave, not paddling against the current. It allows you to own your AI strategy, not the other way around. So here's where the ROI comes in because everybody wants to ask, what is the ROI on AI? I know that everything's going to turn into a cost conversation. So what is this cost? And you're going to ask, what's the cost? Why is it worth it? In a lot of ways, it's the wrong question. The real question when it comes to today on AI is, what's it costing you to keep doing things the old way? Your team already has this work. They're just doing it slower because AI can speed this up dramatically. If you're manually pulling together reports, documents, files, you're writing the same emails, compliance updates, all of that type of mundane stuff you have to do every day, it adds up real fast. But AI can possibly take those mundane tasks and it can save you 2 or 3 hours, right? It can take those 2 or 3 hours and get it down to 1 hour. You can constantly chip away at that time. And once you multiply that across your entire team and your entire production, it's possible you're looking at tens of thousands of dollars in recovered time before you even count fewer errors and compliance issues, smoother coordination, because again, we're helping you along this. So it's not really about buying AI. We're trying to use AI to remove the mundane that's slowing your team down every day. And most firms that we're working with and we're hearing is they start seeing some of this return within those first 90 days. And not because AI is magical, even though it sometimes feels that way. It's because this work was already there. You're just doing it smarter. And I don't know about you guys, but growing up, my dad used to always tell me all the time, don't work harder, work smarter. And I finally get to realize that truth with AI. Yes, that time of mundane tasks that I used to have to do, I don't get to just kick back now because that hour is gone. No, I'm using that time to focus on other things. So even though that stuff is going away, I'm using that time to push myself forward, hopefully pushing, my company forward. So I love AI. I'm a big proponent of it. So we've covered a lot, but at the end of the day, it comes down to one decision: controlled AI or chaos. Because without a sanctioned platform, here's what happens. You have multiple tools, no visibility. Data's moving in around a way that you can't track. Okay, this is where risk shows up. And one tool, one platform fixes that. It's not more complicated than that. I'm about putting structure around something your team is already doing so that you can control it. Here's one thing that sets us apart from others that are offering AI solutions. And let's be honest, everybody's offering them now. And that's this Forge advantage. We have monthly office hours with live Q&A with me and the team, and you get questions answered in real time. There's bi-weekly user group calls, so your team collaborating with other firms doing the exact same thing. It's peer learning, it's shared challenge. You get collective intelligence. And the thing is that no other local MSP offers this. We're we are partnered with MSPs around the country doing this same thing. And we're the only ones in Grand Rapids that are a part of this where we've partnered with a large group of other MSPs. So you're not just getting real IT's intelligence when it comes to AI, you're getting stuff from other people who love AI and love technology as much as we do. And businesses who want to use it as much as you do. And you're learning from them the mistakes and the wins. So we're trying to build a community around this AI adoption. So it's real support, it's real answers. Hey, and we're real people. Human in the loop when it comes to AI is what I truly believe in. All right, now we get to do the fun thing, and that's the live demo. I've talked a lot already. Now I get to do my favorite thing. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen and I'm going to go into our actual managed AI platform, and it's called HATS. All right, I'm going to share that. I'm going to minimize my beautiful face, I guess, and we'll get into it. So when you log in to HATS, here's what it looks like. And I want to start in chat, and that's where we spend 90% of the time. Because that's just where you are. Everybody spends time in chat. But I want to show you what makes this platform different. Now you've got 71 different LLMs at your fingertips, and I put it here, and I'm just going to scroll. These are the large language models that you have access to. It's not just Claude. It's not just ChatGPT. It is a giant amount, right? And then you may never use those, and that's okay. And I know a few months back, I had an entire lunch and learn over the best LLMs and what ones you should use for what tasks, because each LLM is different and has pros and cons to it. Well, HATS is built in an auto LLM, so you don't really have to know which one's the best anymore. It helps you choose, so you can choose the one about what you care about. Do you care about saving tokens? Do you care about the best performance, or do you just want to rock and roll on the best LLM that's there? You can choose that. Saying that, I still think that there is good things to learn about the LLMs and things that you should know. Plus, it really demonstrates how this how this platform is different. Awesome. I was afraid I was going over time, and I see that we're actually at a really good time here. I'm hitting it right where I need to. So in one of my lunch and learns, I talked about one of the best LLMs that you can use for research is Gemini. So if I switch there, you just kind of saw me. I turned off Auto LLM and I viewed the possible large language models. Well, one of the cool things that they did is you can now look for what you're trying to do if you wanted to. Well, I said first thing I want to do in my prompt is I'm going to research something. So I'm going to click research and analysis, and it gives me the LLMs that it recommends for research and analysis. I like Gemini. and I'm going to choose a lower in a model that's quick but not crazy on tokens because it's again we're just doing a demo, um, and I want you to show you what that looks like. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to copy my prompt because you don't want to see me type. I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to show you something called tools. You know, Perplexity is actually its own thing, and if you buy Claude or ChatGPT, if you want to integrate Perplexity, it actually costs money. This comes in Hat, so I can click Perplexity. If I'm doing search, I also like to do Tavly and Exa. I am not going to check Tavly this time because it takes a little bit longer because it does a really deep research, but I am going to select Exa. And I gave it a prompt of some things that I want it to look like. Because it's just a good, it's just a good demo of that. And so I'm going to tell it to prompt. And one of the things that I really like about hats is it's going to start generating and it's going to tell you what it's thinking. So it tells us its thoughts. So I can see what it's doing. If I see it's on the wrong track, I can stop it. I see, oh, look, it's using perplexity. I see what it's asking for. Not just a spinning wheel of death anymore. I'm seeing what AI is doing and how it's talking to itself, which is kind of funny because, sometimes I talk to myself. Um, so again, I'm just seeing what it's doing, what it's asking itself. If it's calling tools, and it's going to take just a little while, not too much, but if I were to go back to the prompt, you could see, I'm giving it a job title. I'm giving it certain things that I want it to do. I'm giving it a real prompt on on what I want it to do. I'm not just asking a simple question. I'm giving it context. I'm giving it a role. I'm giving it a deliverable. And that does matter when you're in AI. It really it really does a good job of keeping those hallucinations down. Let's see, it's doing it. We can see that Hat's created something called a subagent. If it sees it can't get something quickly, it'll sometimes start these subagents automatically. So here you see it's using a subagent and helping it out just a little bit. You can see, oh, it completed our Tavly search, completed a Google search, and it's preparing our answer now. You can see everything it's doing, which I think is really cool. All right. Okay. So we see the answer it's giving us. There's a summary. Maybe I should have made a shorter a prompt for this. You're not just looking at it. But while that's doing that, I was going to see, does anybody have any questions? All right. We're almost there. I wonder if I gave it the wrong prompt at this point. No, we're good. It's just, I did this earlier this morning. It did not take near this long. Yeah, now it's fire crawling those sites again because I gave it a pretty detailed prompt. So it's researching those sites. It's looking at them. It's crawling them for information. It wants to give us really good, solid information. I think I just told it to do too many things. And this is one thing I struggle with AI. Most of the time, I would have this to the side while I did something else. But in a demo, sometimes my patience wears thin, but it's working. I see it's doing it. This is also what's good. It shows you how it's actually doing it. This is real life. Sometimes I'm overzealous when it comes to my prompting and what I'm asking it to do. But while it's doing that, let's see if I can't make this a little bit shorter of a prompt. Give it fewer things. That's driving me nuts. All right, here we go. Let's do it again. So how it happens sometimes. I get overzealous. So again, we're going to do what I did talk about a while ago. Go over research, Gemini Pro, select those tools I want. This time I'm just going to select Perplexity to make it quicker. Add in my prompt. I'd only have it researching a couple of things. Let's have it just research one thing so I can get something very quickly. I have requirements, what I want it to specifically do, and we're going to go. See if I get something faster. We'll check in on this other one. It's still going. Let's see if this is faster. Again, I want to see what it's doing. Hopefully with just one and only one tool, we're going to get something much quicker. We'll say normally this is very quick. This is the first time I've had it take this long. I've been doing quite a few of these. And you can kind of see how I troubleshoot things. And I'm wondering if one of the tools was having problems. Sometimes it's AI. Sometimes the tools don't want to work quickly, and you're not sure what it is, and it'll happen. This will happen. This is what I like that it's spinning because it's telling me that it's doing. If I see it's hung up like this one is, it's constant. See how it's constantly redoing the web search agent. So it allows me to say, okay, this is just burning tokens at this point. I can stop it. And sometimes I yell at AI, and that's okay. Let's see, this is still working. I'll tell you, let's use a feature here. I can say, you're just burning tokens. Something's broken. I need you to get me back answers quickly. You can, okay, so maybe we're going to get something here. It says, oh, I'm sorry, getting things on track at warp speed. What's some specific questions? So let's say, hey, I want you to do this research here. See if I can get it to go quickly. And this is still going. So there's something, it could be in perplexity that's broken. Hmm. Again, Donald, my AI has personality. Looks like I didn't give it quite enough of the prompt on what it needed to do. Well, I'm very disappointed in what it's doing right now, and that's part of the plan. I know it was working earlier, and I can show you some of that, but that doesn't really help now. But let's go ahead and do it because I don't want to waste much of your time. And let's scroll up here, and I can show you what I did earlier today. You can see I actually had it ask that same thing, and it actually got me real information, right? Practical things. And I told it to start making a slideshow after this. Next thing was to start making a slideshow. And I had it build the output. When it comes to this, and I'm going to hit edit so I can show you what I did. I had it do this using Claude, and I had it change, I had it add tools like Google search, and I had it use Google Maps. So it was specifically in this point, I was telling it, don't just use that research. I want you to create a slideshow outline for me, and I want you to specifically tailor it for Grand Rapids. And so it looked for some things for specifically for the Grand Rapids area. And it created my outline. And then I told it how to build into a real presentation. And I told it to do it within, actually, there's a better place. This is way harder. Let's actually show you. Basically, what happened at the end is I did a prompt saying research. I told it to do an outline of that research. I then told it to create a PowerPoint presentation for me. Finally, I told it to send an email to my Outlook drafts folder so that I can send it out to a real person. And it did all of that for me. And at the very end of all of that, I said, I want to make this a actual something that is repeatable. I want to make it a workflow that my entire team can use. And instead of having to do all those prompts over and over again that everybody on your team does, you can create a workflow that everybody can use. And it's all done within the actual prompt and you telling it what to do. Like if I come down here, I could say, let's see if I find the prompt here. I say, I want you to take this flow and I want you to use the Hat Shop workshop and I want you to automate everything we did. And I want you to make sure that you're including all of that and I want you to do it. And from my prompting, it built the workflow. And I want to show you what that looks. And this should get us hopefully back on track a little bit. Um, so if I go to my workshop and I go to my items, I can see that general research that I created. And I'm going to edit it so that you can see those prompts that I asked it to do. You can see the prompt from earlier, my research prompt. You're a research analyst. Now on this one, I told it just use auto. I told the next thing you see the prompts too, and the um, here it is. You're a proposal writer. You're creating the slideshow. Now you are actually creating it in. You're actually creating it, the PowerPoint presentation for you, and it's taking a website for branding colors and things like that. Okay, and then it is emailing it. So let's show you what that looks like in the run history. Let's see if this completed. So now I have my research here. I have my proposal, my design brief, all the summary that it did, how it created that. And there's actually even a better one that I did yesterday that shows you the actual PowerPoint. Let's see if I go down. Again, the PowerPoint here. Let's see. So it had me download this so I can download it. And here's what it looked like. So it's easy to do, even though today we had a little bit of a struggle, but hey, it's live TV, folks, as they say, and sometimes that happens. One thing I wanted to show, since I want still okay on time, is how you can create your own agent in in Hats, and it's super cool. Just go to my app. I can go to New here, and I can create agent. So an agent is like a chat bot. I can say, you can say, help me write instructions over here. I'm going to give it a name real quick. I'm going to say Donald's voice. Okay. Yeah, and I'm giving I want to give my agent some personality. You'll also can say who you are, what you do, and all that stuff. But look, I'm just gave it a little bit. And look, it's going to tell me, it's going to give me an idea. So I'm going to apply that to instructions, and those are now instructions. I can say Donald specializes in computer networks. So all things that you can do that it's simple. You just tweak it as you go, and it's just doing it very quickly. Now this is running great. I can come back up here, or I can say, is there anything else is there anything I'm missing? I can have AI help me build. That's one of the things. Use AI to create AI, to learn AI. So again, it's going to say there's a few small things to tweak. If I had time, I'd go through there, and just apply those. And I can select the model. For this is a chat bot, I don't want it to use the most expensive model. I can have it use an auto LLM that's light. I can select auto tools because maybe I don't know what tool I want to use. So I can just say, select the best one for my prompt, or I can come in here and I can tell it what I want to give it. right now, I'm just going to say auto tool because I want it to use whatever it can to answer my questions. Once I'm done, all I have to do is create agent. And now look, you can add, it actually even has some other get started things you can start asking. If you want to go back and use it, you can go to chat, uncheck the auto selection, and look, you have my agents. And I have Donald's voice right here. Actually, that may not be that one. You can go over to view all and you can see, yeah, that's that one. I created one other with my actual picture on it. So I knew. So you have Donald's voice and I can say, email uncommon security issues. And it's going to give a lot more personality instead of just sounding like AI. It's one of my favorite things that I like to do with AI is giving it actual personality. And that should be a pretty good demo if you want one, if you need one that's a little bit more in depth for your specific use case. If you'll let me know, I'll get something ready. Maybe we won't have the same issues that we had earlier. Normally, it's not that, but I'm guessing that there's something wrong with Perplexity going on right now. I'd have to double check that later, but for the most part, that should give you a pretty good idea of what it can do. That happens, and that's okay. So let me share my screen, and I want to go over the last few slides to tell you a little bit more about the product itself. All right. Here it is. Hopefully, yep, should be shared to everybody. And I took, yep. Okay, so here we go. So what does onboarding look like? Well, here's what it gets you started. There's three phases. There's baseline AI, baseline AI IQ. We're going to sit down. We're going to assess where you are at AI, how you're using it, what you're doing, what you know, what tools you're using, what's working for you. Is there a gap? What's that gap? We're not going to assume anything. We want to talk to you. We're going to configure the platform for your team. We're going to get them comfortable, talk to them about it. Real IT is going to train them. It's not going to be some video we send you. And then we're going to build skills. We're going to talk with you. We're going to build use cases, workflows that actually matter to you. We're going to get that low hanging fruit and get rid of some of those everyday mundane tasks. Not generic examples like I just went through. We're going to actually work through your workflows. And then when it comes to how we want to work with this and how AI adoption works, we use a crawl, walk, run. So crawl, and this is typically how we like to do things. Crawl, that first 30 days, we're getting 100% of your team access. 90% of them are going to get trained. Quick wins, we're going to get them comfortable using it. That's our overall goal in those first 30 days. When it comes to the walk, that's people have used it for a while, so they understand chat and how to use the actual platform. So we're hoping, and our main goal is that 80% of your users are active. They're actually using it. You're already seeing 10 to 20 hours saved per week, and you're actually starting to get real momentum when it comes to AI. On the run phase, it's 90 days and beyond. We want to make sure that we have 5 to 10 use cases. They're locked in. We want to create workflows that are automated, and you're saving, 50 to 100 hours each month, and you're getting 3 to 5 times ROI on your AI adoption. This is our roadmap. It's not some sort of wishful thinking. We can hit these marks because we're not handing you just some tool and forgetting about it. We're rolling it out with you. And here's what it comes down to when it comes to AI in our platform is you stay in control. It's AI without all of the risk. It's adoption without chaos. It's clear rules. Your team gets what they need and you get visibility and your data stays where it belongs. Because remember, once it's out there, once your information is out there in AI, there's no take backs, there's no delete button. And here's how you get moving. There's 3 steps. You select your adoption package, you pick what fits right for your team, and where you want to go. When we schedule the kickoff, we baseline where you're at and we get that platform configured and we roll it out with you, not at you, but with you. And it's that simple. When it comes to the AI packages, here's what they look like. And before I created this demo before an email went out this morning, actually, so this is new. Since you guys, this AI demo is geared for our customers. You're already clients of Real IT. So an email went out this morning, and hopefully you saw it. If you didn't, let me know. But we are offering this platform for free in July. We are turning it on for every one of our clients so that they can use it and try it for free in July. If you're interested in it, just respond to the email. Me or Annie will contact you back. Maybe Matt will as well. One of us from Real IT will contact you back and talk about it. But we are turning it on for all of our customers across the board. You're going to have access to it, whether you use it or not. I really invite you to use it. It's very, very handy. I use a lot of different AI tools. I use Claude Code. I've used ChatGPT. I use Copilot. Every one of them has use cases. This is my go-to. I love hats and I use it all the time, every day. I'm a giant user. So, but when it does come to the packages, there's 5 packages and you pick what fits. The intro package is 30 credit tokens. It's usually good for one person. It's getting your feet wet. There's a starter package that has 100,000 tokens. This is for a small team and it has one training session and a user group, and that's it. The small SMB or the small business. Now this is where you actually have two real AI. It's 250 tokens, 250,000 tokens. And this gets real here. This is where you get that full crawl, walk, run adoption. You get multiple use cases and your team, you start building momentum here because you get custom agents. You get the bi-monthly user group. You have 3 training sessions. You're talking with us, you're learning, you're really adopting. And then we have where you're, business, and this is about business and pro is all about, if you're really using it and you're using it like really hardcore. But what I want you to know is that tokens, when it comes to tokens, is confusing. I can't tell you this prompt gets this many tokens. It depends on the tools you're using. It depends on the LLM you're using. If you're using the greatest out there, it gets expensive the tokens go really fast. Even in the real world, when I say real world, even in if you're going ChatGPT or Claude only, those tokens go super, super fast on those models. Okay. Some people who use APIs, and I've seen giant amounts of APIs calling thousands of dollars. So tokens get confusing, and I can't tell you what that's going to be. What I like to say is you're not going to know until you start using it. So start somewhere in the middle and see what you're using, and you can go from there. Hats does not turn off the platform if you go over your tokens. There's been a lot of times where I've gone over early on 3 times the amount of tokens I had. It never turned out. It never turned off. Now, the premium models I couldn't use, so I was using some of the lower end models. But what was cool about that is I learned I could use those low end models on a chatbot just fine. It honestly did not affect my workload. Even in the workflows, remember I told you you're not stuck in one LLM. When it comes to those workflows, you can change the model to something lower cost, so you're still able to work in that. Hats doesn't turn it off for you. So the bottom line is, when it comes to this whole demo, is I want you to know your team's already using AI. Most likely they're doing it in an unsecure way. So the question is, do you want it to happen in a way you can control, or in a way that you can't? And I want to leave you with this from a personal standpoint. At the end of the day, it's not about AI. When it comes to technology, for me, it's about confidence. It's confidence that your team's using the right tools the right way without putting your clients at risk. Because whether we like it or not, AI is already there. The only question is, are you in control of it? Are you using hope as a strategy? That's what I'm trying to help solve. I want you to be able to move forward with confidence and to know AI and to know the technology you're using for your team, your employees, your coworkers, the people that you serve. And that's pretty much the end of this presentation. If anybody has any questions, feel free to chat it or put it in the Q&A, and I'll help to the best of my abilities. All right. Thank you very much. If you didn't get those emails where this came out, please let me know. And I love talking about AI. So if you do have questions on where you're at, please let me know. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your day.